Alright, I'll be honest here. I've tried making this video a couple different times, in a couple different ways, and each time it just kind of falls flat. So, I've decided to do a more ranting method. It's not going to be scripted, it's not going to have any, overall thesis to it. We're just going to go and rant about Wolfenstein 3D. And that's going to be the video. So going back to it, why I even wanted to make this video to begin with, I have this strange little thing inside my skull, right, that tells me I want to go back to the classics. I want to re-experience or experience some things for the first time that created the game culture that I'm in today. I love video games as a whole, I love them as an art form, and as such, I think it's important to visit where we started and how we got to where we are today. In a similar vein of wanting to play the first Super Mario Bros. Before experiencing the rest of the platforming genre to see where the DNA starts, if that makes sense. So looking at the first-person shooter genre, it does have a very storied history, right? We go back through basically the id pipeline, right? Going through all of id's games really teaches you where shooting as a whole kind of gained its foothold. And I know this video is going to be about Wolfenstein 3D, but we can't really understate what Doom truly was to the genre. Doom was the father of all modern day shooting. It was so, revolutionary. So many games post-Doom were called Doom clones. That's how prolific this game was, right? Genre-defining, gaming changing, right? It changed the entire medium as a whole, right? It's truly insane to think about. But then you have to take the next step back and look, what was Doom's DNA based off of? And there you have it. Now we're on the front door of Wolfenstein 3D. And if Doom's considered to be the father of all shooters, then I would definitely say Wolfenstein is the grandfather of all shooters. And with that title in mind, it's definitely a very basic game, right? As you'd imagine, the gameplay loop isn't too incredibly, intensive, right? You're put in a map, and that map is basically a maze. And you're running through that maze, you're killing your Nazis, and you're making your exits. That's basically it. Each level does have its own little thing to it. Some of them are more labyrinthian than others. A lot of them will have secret rooms or secret push walls that you can find extra treasures, stronger weapons, and more. The way I ended up playing this game was through Steam. Steam is a really cool resource for some of these older PC games, but when you do run it, it does default to DOSBox, and I don't know if you guys have ran or played a game on DOS, but it hasn't aged well. Let it be the aspect ratio or graphical settings looking very foggy at best, or the controls, right? I mean, Wolfenstein didn't have mouse and keyboard support. It was mouse or keyboard. You ran around with the keyboard, and you aimed with the keyboard, and you shot with the keyboard, or vice versa with the mouse. And that was it. It's kind of rough to go through. Luckily though, we live in the modern age where the internet exists, and the internet is a fantastic tool. Some great, amazing people out there created this fantastic program called EC Wolf. It's an enhanced source port that kind of gives a lot of modern day functionality to this game, right? We're talking about a mini-map feature, which is so useful, especially on the more difficult maze levels. It's a game changer, right? Higher resolution, better sound quality. I mean, improvement in controls alone, dude. We're talking mouse and keyboard or controller support. And I'm not gonna lie, I do love playing on controller, so I did this mostly on that. But still, amazing work, everybody. Thank you so much for your EC Wolf. This is not a new program, it's been around for a while. And if anybody wants to play this game, 100% recommend you buy your official copy and then EC Wolf it up. When I bought it from Steam, I ended up buying both Wolfenstein 3D and Spear Destiny. Basically, I bought all of the classical Wolfenstein 3D content, ? So it comes down with Wolfenstein 3D, your base game, which is your standard 3 episodes, which is the main campaign that the game initially released with. Then they released a prequel patch. I think they call them the Nocturnal Missions. That's all part of the base Wolfenstein 3D DNA, right? And then you have Spear of Destiny. Spear of Destiny was a sequel game thing that takes place, narratively at least, before the events of everything. It's like a prequel to a prequel. And I say prequel to a prequel because the second set of episodes you get in the regular Wolfenstein 3 are a prequel to the standard campaign of Wolfenstein 3D. So, you have the first 3 episodes. Boom, that's the main story, the main campaign. It's just BJ Blazkowicz getting captured by the Nazis and then making his way out, and by the end you're killing Mecha Hitler. Pretty damn awesome. Then you have the Nocturnal missions. Those are a set of prequel missions that basically you're trying to stop some kind of biological weapon, and you win the day and you stop the weapon from manufacturing and being used. And then you have the Spear of Destiny, which is more occult based. Basically, Hitler got his hands on the Spear of Destiny, and it allows him to control some kind of demon thing that will help him, like, win the war. So you go on a mission to get that staff, and you win, or the spear, and you win. You save the world, and the timeline just moves from there. Now, there are 2 expansion packs, also mission packs, that came from the Spear of Destiny, and nobody likes them. Nobody seems to like them. They are, graphically, they changed the way everything looked from the other experiences beforehand. Everything has a weird blue tint to it, and on top of that, the level design is way more confusing and overly relies on those push walls for, like, actual level progression instead of secret finding, which to me is obnoxious and annoying. I did end up playing through all of it, and I can fully agree with everybody says. It's kind of sad to think about the standard Wolfenstein 3D experience ending on such a wet fart, but you know what? We had plenty of Wolfenstein post that, and they get really good by the end, right? The machine games are really good games and put together pretty well. But this video isn't about those. We're talking about Wolfenstein 3D and its connective tissue. Alright, so I went a little bit over how the game plays, but I didn't really get into detail, right? So you're exploring these maps, these labyrinths as you are. You run into all sorts of different enemies, right? And by that I mean you run into, 4 enemy types? You have your standard guard. They basically use a pistol and they shoot at you. If you kill them, you get ammo for your weapon. That's pretty awesome, pretty chill. You have the SS. They use an assault rifle. You kill them, you get an assault rifle. That's pretty awesome. They tend to be more tanky, but if you can beeline on them, they go down pretty easily. You have the officers, which are basically your guards, but faster, so they use a pistol, but they're more quicker to the draw. You have the attack dogs, super weak, super easy to deal with. Usually you can just change to the knife and stab them. And then you have the mutants. The mutants are probably the most annoying enemy type to deal with, because they're tanky and they do a shitload of damage. So that's 5 enemy types, not 4. But, same difference, right? The weapons you'll be using to kill these enemies are, I believe, actually 4. You have your knife, that's what you begin with. You quickly get a pistol, so the knife is basically useless unless you run out of ammo. You have your pistol, 1 shot at a time, does very minimum damage, but it does the job. You have the assault rifle or the machine gun. It does way more damage. Accuracy is pretty decent, and you can kind of just aim at one guy and knock him down. Not really any negative. The only negative that's not the chain gun, right? The chain gun is where it's at. Extremely powerful, does a shitload of damage, but man, it runs out of ammo super quickly. And that can be kind of annoying because all the weapons come from the same ammo pool. So if you run out for the chain gun, you run out of all your ammo. So you gotta be careful on your usage. Wait a minute. Did I say 4 weapon types? It's 5. It's 5, guys. I'm sorry. Can't blame me though, we're doing a ranting video, so fuck it, we're doing it live, right? Alright, so you're running around, you're exploring, and you're getting shot at. You're taking damage. Ow, that hurts. Cool thing is you have this little portrait on the bottom because it's a first-person game. They didn't have a way to characterize you in the game, and older games that have a newer idea, they always have to, explain content. A random example is Super Mario 64. 3D platforming is still a newer idea, so they come up with the idea of the Lakitu being a cameraman. So, the cameraman is you. There is a physical construct for the cameraman. Or Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, they invent Navi to excuse the reason why there is a lock-on system to begin with. Similar idea or similar concept, I guess, to give you an idea of who you are, to project yourself to you. As you're running through the levels, you have this little portrait on you. Your little guy, your little face. That is BJ Blazkowicz, right? as you take damage, that face gets beat up more and more until he's bleeding and then he's dead. And then of course you have an actual number to represent your HP pool, and the best way to get those numbers back up is health items. So as you're exploring, you can find all sorts of health items. You have dog food, delicious, right? Turkey dinner, I guess that's what it's called. Medkit, as well as a 1-up. Medkits do a lot of healing, and turkey dinners do okay. And a 1-up will completely heal you and give you an extra life. Another thing that helps you with the extra lives, though, is treasure. So as you're exploring and you find those secret push walls, or just laying across the floor as you're roaming, you'll find treasure. Treasure can increase your score. The higher the score, eventually you'll get a level up. Or not level up, 1-up. 1-ups are kinda useless, especially, I don't know if the original DOS version did, I can't quite say so. But I can say EC Wolf allows you to quick save and quick load, so lives mean absolutely nothing, it's completely pointless. But hey, it's kind of fun to gain points. There's going to be a grand total of 10 floors per episode. You have a boss at the end of every episode. It's usually, you'll notice, it'll say floor 9, and that's the boss. Where's floor 10? What's floor 10? Well, my friends, while you're exploring the levels and you have all those secrets you can find, you can also find secret exits. And those secret exits will lead you to secret levels, right? Usually it's just an extra level for fun's sake, right? But one of them is really cool. It ends up being a Pac-Man maze where you have actual Pac-Man ghosts chasing you. I think it's a cool little reference because, hey, we're in a maze, why not make it Pac-Man, which was the maze game at the time. So that's pretty damn awesome. I guess we should talk about the bosses too, right? So the best way to think about the boss is that they are just larger, regular enemies. They are just physically bigger. They chase you down, and they usually have stronger weapons. So the first boss will have double chain guns. The second boss will have, I guess, just a needle he throws at you, but it's very dangerous, trust me. And then Hitler has like 4 chain guns when he's in his mech suit, and then 2 chain guns when he's like broken. When the mech suit's broken, he's just chasing you like a human. And then same for the rest of the bosses, right? They tend to have a combination of chain guns and rocket launchers throughout the entire game, including Spear of Destiny. The only one that's really different, I think, is the second boss, which throws those needles, like I mentioned. That is kind of funny now that I think about it. I didn't even... Oh, and then there's also the demonic angel creature things that you fight, right, for the Spear of Destiny. Those are shooting magical balls at you. But those 3 enemies aside, the rest of them use chain guns and rocket launchers, I guess. So I kind of went over like the episodes and the layout of Wolfenstein 3D, but I didn't really go over Spear of Destiny. And Spear of Destiny kind of has a different approach. Instead of having the multiple episode format the Wolfenstein 3D does, and what Doom 1 does, it actually does something more similar to Doom 2, where it's just one standard campaign, one length campaign. So it's going to be a total of 21 floors in all. Not too bad when you think about it. The way the bosses are laid out, instead of the end of an episode, right? It's going to be at the end of so many, or every chunk of episodes, or a chunk of floors, should I say, I guess. So we're looking at the 5th floor is when you fight the first boss, the 10th floor is when you fight the second, 16th is the third, 18th is the second to last, and then 21st is the last. Now, it's a little tricky because floor 19 and 20 are secret levels, so it really is just floor 18, you fight the boss, it's cool, you open a door, and then there's the spear. You grab the spear, and you immediately enter into the last level. You turn around, you open the door, and you're now in an entirely different environment. More hellish and kind of more Doom-themed, which is kind of funny, and a little ironic if you think about it. The 2 mission packs that are associated with Spear of Destiny that I mentioned way earlier, the ones that have like negative feedback that nobody likes, those ones are laid out the exact same way as Spear of Destiny, right? So you have the 21 floors, the bosses on the exact same floors. It's just going to be a different set of bosses. Though, both mission packs have the exact same bosses, so there's only like three different sets of bosses if you think about it. You have the Wolfenstein 3D, you have the Spear of Destiny bosses, and then you have the two mission pack bosses, which are two separate campaigns with the exact same bosses. Kind of lazy, but it's fine. Nobody likes them anyways, right? All in all, I can't complain too much. You have a lot of content between Wolfenstein 3D, Spear of Destiny, and the two mission packs, right? That's a lot of gameplay. That's a lot of options. Well, that's the problem. There isn't many options to that gameplay. It's a very similar gameplay experience as you go. Levels get harder, more enemies are thrown at you, sure, but it is a very repetitive, similar, same gameplay loop. Like this video, it's probably pretty annoying to watch. But there's some pros and cons to this, right? So in a longer gaming session, which I tend to do, it gets repetitive and it's boring to do, and I couldn't play it that way. I just couldn't enjoy it sitting down and hunkering for like 3 or 4 hours. It just wasn't my time to shine. Unlike, I keep saying the word, unlike Doom, where I could play for 4, 5, 6, 7 hours and I'm still enjoying it, right? But this game, the level design wasn't as different from one level to another, and the enemy types and everything, it wasn't as varied, and I got bored after a while. That all being said, if you play it in smaller segments, and I'm talking maybe an hour here, an hour there, you know, like you're gaming as if it's a healthy hobby and not an addictive, copious, like this is what I need to survive, it's a lot more funner to experience that way. It's actually very enjoyable. So I definitely recommend, if you're gonna play this game, 1, use EC Wolf. It's the best way to modernize it, and it's very easy to use and very easy to get running. Plenty of tutorials out there for you. And then do shorter chunks. Don't just run through the game. Enjoy it, breathe a bit, play an episode at a time maybe, because an episode's only about an hour-ish. So play about 10 levels here, 10 levels there, right? It's not a marathon, right? Or I guess it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. That's the expression, right? Enjoy your time with it, breathe, and just go for the stroll. Absolutely glad I experienced this game. This was my first time playing Wolfenstein 3D. I played Doom plenty of times, I played Quake plenty of times, I've gone through the shooting genre as a whole, right? But I've never played Wolfenstein 3D. I knew of it, I've seen a lot of it, but I never played it. So this was like, not just homework, but it was something I wanted to do. I wanted to experience the roots. I don't really need to go much further back than this. I don't need to play Catacombs or Tank 3D or something, whatever it's called, right? I don't need to go that far back to really see the shooting genre form. This is what we all think of when we think of a first-person shooter, and this was the game that really defined the genre into a moldable function, a moldable thing that then Doom could build into something more of. I know, my phrasing's weird, and I mean, I'm ranting. This is an unscripted video, like I said. But hey, if you like this unscripted video, if you like the idea of me just ranting at you, let me know, I guess. This is nonsensical, but I wanted to get this video done. I wanted to talk about this, and each time I try to make a scripted video, it went wrong, let it be with time constraints or just I couldn't get the words. Because, there's not much to say about a game that's very condensed like this. Unless I spent the time going episode by episode, level by level, floor by floor, I guess. And I just don't have that bandwidth right now to do that kind of video. So I decided to say, screw everything else, let me just do a rant, yell at you. And honestly, I'm just gonna put me playing Wolfenstein 3D in the background with the game audio in the background. And, this is just gonna be as if it's an episode to a Let's Play, I guess, and it's just me ranting about this nonsense, I guess. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Yeah, I guess that's it. Have a great day.